Greetings, everyone, and welcome. July the 21st, 2025. I have discovered some video clips that have absolutely tilted me. So this morning, I've called Professor Gertis and asked him, am I in the wrong lane? Do I misunderstand? And it's in regard to the 50 days, in regard to the tariffs, of course, in regard to Russia's horrible war against Ukraine. And I'm just a frustrated person right now, and I'm looking for opinions of others. So, Prof, we're going to do this, see some clips, get your opinion. And
Sure.
I'm also looking for your opinions. Now, this is on my channel, not Prof, but if you watch and you have an opinion on these videos, please drop a comment because I will do my very best to respond to as many as I can. So, are you ready? This is in regard to Lindsey Graham. It's also in regard to Trader Carlson, and I've got something out of Peskov in China. So, are you ready? Anything you want to say to get going?
No, I mean, with this, you don't have to agree with Greg or me. You can have your own opinion. Just tell us what you think, because we are interested in triangulating on whatever the truth is. And I see a portion of it. He might see a different portion, and you can see a third portion, and that's perfectly fine. We'll try to see as much as we can collectively.
That's the point. That's exactly what I want to accomplish. So here we go. The first one is a couple of clips of Lindsey Graham speaking on Fox News. And this is in regard to the sanctions and the tariffs. And this rhetoric for me is a struggle. Here's clip number one.
And Putin, your turn is coming. You know, Donald Trump is the Scotty Scheffler of American politics and foreign diplomacy, and he's about to put a whooping on your ass. What's going to happen here is that Trump is going to impose tariffs on people that buy Russian oil. China, India, and Brazil, those three countries buy about 80% of cheap Russian oil. That's what keeps Putin's war machine going. So President Trump's going to put a 100% tariff on all those countries, punishing them for helping Putin. Putin can live through sanctions. He could give a damn about Russian soldiers. But China, India, and Brazil, they're about to face a choice between the American economy or helping Putin. And I think they're going to come pick the American economy.
All right.
So what do you think?
It tilts me. First of all, he makes a reference to Scotty Scheffler. Do you know who Scotty Scheffler is?
Yeah, he's a golfer.
Yeah, but do you know what the reality is about Scotty Scheffler? He's the greatest golfer in the world right now.
$17 million is in the purse.
He's the number one golfer in the world right now, but he is non-confrontational. He avoids the media. He gets into no conflicts. And even yesterday, Jordan Spieth was talking about him being the greatest superstar on the planet right now, but does nothing to help the game of golf. And in the sport world, it kind of went viral, to be honest. He kind of called him out as being non-active. So that reference there tilted me. I'm a golfer. I'm into the sports. And now if this goes international and many people watching go, who in the heck is Scotty Scheffler? Okay. So that's point number one. Point number two, it's almost to me as if he wants to throw out this harsh rhetoric specifically aimed at those that will support Russia, China and Brazil and India, and just throw the blame on them versus keeping it focused on Putin. That's how I'm viewing it. And that tilts me.
So the issue that I would have here, I would say, first, every analogy is imperfectly, by definition, imperfect. An analogy holds to only a certain degree. It's not a one for one, or it'd be the exact same thing. So he's not worried about the Scotty Scheffler being non-confrontational part. He's just saying he's the best. Okay, let's set that part aside. That's how I view what he was saying.
So we're to infer
Lindsey
from that
Graham
then that
is a
Donald
senator.
Trump is the best.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
just wondering.
Okay. Best at his game. Okay. So Lindsey Graham is the senior U.S. Senator from South Carolina. He's running for election again. And so he's going to be more vocal, more out there, more getting press for himself because he's running again. And he'll be a shoo-in in South Carolina. South Carolina is a deeply Republican state, but he's still putting himself out there so that he spends less in the actual election and can safely, return to the Senate. So that's part two of that. He's bombastic by nature, but I think we want his bombasticness to some degree. I'm maybe this is misapplied here. So we want his bombasticness toward Russia. I'm not sure
Thank
that we
you.
want it. So okay, so but
You
I'm not
got
sure
it.
that we want it toward these other countries. But this is why this is working, because the now before okay, MAGA is kind of going along with Trump, but before Trump pivoted, this was a brilliant strategy to couple the tariffs, because the MAGA folks were all about the tariffs for some bizarre reason I don't understand, and then we coupled that with against Russia. But I'm not sure about this. So you were talking about, shouldn't we be targeting Russia rather than these other countries? It's kind of like everybody has a crazy relative, right? So crazy Uncle Charlie, you see him every year at Thanksgiving and Easter and Christmas. Okay. He's always arguing, but it's like we know that Uncle Charlie's the problem, but then we're dealing with cousin Dawn and cousin Barbara and cousin Sam because they get into arguments with him, right? We know that independently, Sam and Barbara, and well, maybe Dawn, but Sam and Barbara and Sam, they're not the problem. But right, but we're chastising them for getting into a contrast and into a argument with Crazy Uncle Charlie. When everybody knows that Crazy Uncle Charlie is the problem, that's kind of what we're doing. It's an imperfect analogy, but that's the way that I'm understanding this.
Fair
So
enough. I
now
go back
the
to
question then becomes, what are Dawn and Barbara and Sam going to do?
let me tell you that we just saw the most biting sanctions coming out of the European Union against China, the 18th package, and today China responded to that. So I'm glad you asked that question. This is my point. This is such short-sightedness, and you talk about a Trump switch. First of all, he threw out this number of 17 and Patriots are coming. I've got news for you. I'm going to predict, and you're never supposed to predict. There will not be a Patriot in Ukraine before the 50 days are over. It's not going to happen. There's too much preparation to take place. My personal opinion. I think it's just
you mean
blowhard.
launchers? You mean launchers or missiles or what?
Missiles, yeah, launching systems.
Yeah,
the
missiles I
systems.
think will be there. Yeah,
Yeah.
but so but look at the timetable for whatever Biden announced, and then when it got there, it took a long time as well. I mean, this will take a long time as well. So
Then
it's
you
not like
shouldn't
an
have dropped
overnight
50
thing.
days on that argument. Doesn't hold
Well,
water
I mean, I wish
because
they didn't do that too.
that argument doesn't hold water for me because he shouldn't have dropped the 50-day deadline on it.
Okay, so when
All
I
right,
look
so
at the
let's
50-day deadline, hold on. When I look
yeah.
at the 50-day deadline, I see it as a positive because it's an if-then statement rather than a conditional. It wasn't a maybe I'll reevaluate in 2 weeks. It was in 50 days I will do X. Now, whether he'll actually do something in 50 days, that's different. And maybe
Okay.
you're right. Maybe nothing will happen. But that was a change in rhetoric.
Yeah, there
Anyway,
is
let's get on to
something
the next one.
there is something that's going to happen. For the next 50 days, Russia is going to bombard Ukraine and kill people and destroy property for 50
As they've
days.
been doing. There's
Okay?
nothing new about
And
that.
secondly, I can pull the clip up right now where Donald Trump was being interviewed on the tarmac and he says 50 days isn't a long time. I may even do it before 50 days. So I don't believe anything he says about 50 days. Now,
That's
China,
perfectly fair.
we got to look at the reaction here. China coming out today saying China's authorities, and this was from the Commerce Minister of China, Chinese authorities will respond to the EU's 18th package of anti-Russian sanctions with decisive measures. Directly from the Ministry of Commerce of the PRC, China, quote, insists that the European side immediately abandon the erroneous actions of including Chinese enterprises and financial institutions in the sanctions list. This statement, published on the Trade Department's website, emphasizes the PRC will take necessary measures. We will resolutely protect the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese companies. And then this bottom statement they made, China expresses categorical dissatisfaction and resolute protest. The PRC consistently opposes unilateral sanctions that have no basis in international law and are not authorized by the UN Security Council.
Well, it's kind of rich considering how much support goes from China to Russia. But again, this is cousin Sam being upset about whatever is going on with, why are you not dealing with crazy Uncle Charlie? Even if Sam kind of knows that he's provoking us through crazy Uncle Charlie and is kind of happy about seeing, like, yeah. So it's the same stuff. What do you make of that?
I make it that the United States of America and the European Union underestimate the deepness of the relationship between Russia and China and India and Iran and North Korea and their hatred for the West and the European Union.
Okay.
And it is going to not be as simple as 50 days. We're just going to tear the hell out of you. And this is going to work because Donald Trump's the most brilliant man in the world. He's Scotty Scheffler. He's number one, and it's just going to work. What planet are you on? Pete Hegseth was showing drones flying over his head that I could have turned my sugar cube on and drop them out of the sky full of Chinese components. It's such a SHIT show. That's what I'm saying. And I'm so angry right now. I'm so angry. Our country is in absolute disaster mode with our own internal issues. And we got blowhards like Lindsey Graham, and I'm a Republican, blowhards throwing out rhetoric. He threw out the same rhetoric standing beside Blumenthal a month ago in Kyiv. We're going to pass it in July. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Daggone it, it's the 21st of July, and now we're all the way to September 2nd or 3rd. Bull crap is what I'm calling it. I'm mad today, Gertis. I'm mad.
I get that you're mad. So, okay. So we talk about 50
calm me
days.
down, man.
He's going to let them do this for 50 days. Well, they've been letting them do it for however long. So the 50 days is I would invert it where that could be the place where something changes. Could is the operative word. I don't think that we can really reliably hang our hat on that anything will, although he said the if then, but and that's a positive statement. So, saying, well, he's going to let them go. Okay, so 45 days from now, that's about when we're going to see something. Perhaps we'll see if something happens.
Which is during the victory parade of China, the 80th anniversary.
Yeah, we'll see if anything happens at that point. But so we have to just try to keep it in perspective. In perspective, Lindsey Graham is saying what he's saying because he's running for election and trying to look tough and powerful. Okay,
fair enough. Let's go to clip 2.
But here's what I would tell China, India, and Brazil. If you keep buying cheap Russian oil to allow this war to continue, we're going to tariff the hell out of you, and we're going to crush your economy because what you're doing is blood money. You're buying cheap Russian oil at the expense of the world, and President Trump is tired of this game. If I were President Putin, I would get to the table soon because he's about to get crushed.
Okay. And what do you make of that?
I got news for you. It's not just China, Iran, India, Brazil funding the Russian war machine. They're selling stuff everywhere, United States included, European nations included, natural gas, you name it. And you just, once again, man, it's just, I'm so infuriated today. And it might be because it's personal. That I've lost so many friends and so many warriors and heroes and civilians and children's in schools and hospitals and apartment buildings and libraries are leveled to the ground. And we have this blowhard out here thinking he's a tough guy. Okay. And throwing out all of this trashy rhetoric that he is. We're going to get Putin, but we're going to do it through China and India. No, you coward. Why don't you just stand up like you want to be Hollywood Hegseth and say, listen here, if one more missile is fired to Ukraine, we're bringing hell to Russia. That's how you stop the daggone war. I'm mad, man. I'm mad.
Sure. I mean, I think everybody would like to see that, but isn't this an improvement over nothing? Assuming
No, because all this is going to do, he's being laughed at, brother. I read Russian media every day. He is being laughed at off the stage. Why? Because this is all they say. 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, 10 days,
well,
50 days.
The problem is not what they say. It's the lack of follow through.
That's my point.
Right.
There's no action.
So, assuming that they actually have follow through, this is an improvement. Assuming that they don't,
Well,
then
that's fair
there's not.
enough. That's fair
Okay.
enough. But we have a
So, but
historical track record that says there's no follow through.
well, but again, you had the conditional if then statement, and this is what. So again, I could be wrong. Greg could be wrong.
I
Tell
could
us
be
what you
wrong.
think. Put it in the
I'm really
comments
looking forward to
below.
your
Help
comments,
us see
guys,
what we
on this
can't
one.
see.
Help us identify this, because like prophecies, and we have so many views that are similar in conservatism and Republican and Christian viewpoints, and is our basis, and you know, and we're allowed to have those just as you are
And
allowed to have
you're
your
allowed to be
viewpoints.
upset about it. There's no problem with that. I just look
I
at it a
just
little bit
like
differently.
I have goosebumps right now, because all rolling through my mind right now is Pete's video, man. It's the same crap over and over and over and over.
It's frustrating to watch.
It's disgusting. It's
This is
disgusting.
why I appreciated the German saying, "We're not gonna tell you how much we're gonna send, we're just gonna send it." Right?
That's
I
how you do
appreciate
it.
that. Or the NATO, commander said something similar to that just a couple days ago. I appreciate that. Now, politicians like to make big statements. I talked about this just a week ago. Barney Frank, do you remember him? He was a congressman from
I do
Massachusetts.
remember him.
He wrote a book, and I read it. This was years ago. He was this, yeah. He said, in politics, you don't get any credit for solving a problem before it becomes a problem. Right? So you have to let the problem become the problem, and then you solve it and go, "Ha ha, I solved it." It's exactly backwards from how we run the rest of our lives. But I think this is what you're seeing, is that politicians are doing what politicians do, which is waiting for a problem to fester, showing how big the problem is, and then they address it if they ever get around to addressing it, in order to show that, see, I solved the problem, and
But
give them the victory lap. So
therein lies the fundamental
right.
flaw, in my opinion.
The system that you have is perfectly geared to give you what you're getting, and this is what we're getting.
Then the system needs
That's
to
the
be
system.
changed.
Well, I mean, it's a democratic system. That's the way this works, where politicians do this. Now, is it good? No, but I mean,
I could
that's just where we
completely,
are.
I agree with you. I understand everything you're saying there, and you are 100% right. And the Barney Frank analogy there, or example, spot on. The issue I have is I don't care if we have to politicize shipping issues, currency issues, international trade agreements, anything of that nature. But when we are politicizing and trying to figure out what the deck of cards is spelling out, when people are being killed
Yeah,
daily,
I get it.
when drones are flying around Kherson attacking grannies trying to buy a
Yeah.
piece of fruit, I have
Yeah,
I have
I get it.
such
It's
a
terrible.
fundamental problem with that. That
The entire world has done this since the very beginning of the war. They have said, they've made big statements about how we're with you to the end or whatever, and like then it takes however many months to get tanks there or planes or whatever it is. It's the same stuff.
I'm leaving for
Same stuff.
Ukraine, and I'm
It's
leaving for
and it's
Ukraine in a
deeply
couple of
frustrating.
weeks, and I just can't wait to get there with my guys. And I love them. I love Ukraine, and I hope you guys. We're going to leave it right here, because I really wanted to see what you guys think. Prof made some very good points. I made some very emotional points, and we want to see your opinion. And I'm really going to do my very best to respond to as many comments as possible, because right now, honestly, I need to go out for a run or something, because I'm literally tilted, and I don't want to be tilted. I want to be, solid, and I want to be able to share with you guys and translate videos and tell you exactly what's happening inside Ukraine and on the front lines. But man, I'm just tilted on these two statements. So
This isn't a game, right? Lives
it's
are at
not a
stake.
game.
Real people are dying, right? So it's not a game, but this is what is happening and why it's happening. You can see if you're looking through that kind of lens, and it's very frustrating to watch. I'm
It
sure.
is. It is. Well, thank you, Prof. And I think what I'm going to do now is get this video out to the world, and then I'm just going to go run around the block. Thank you guys. It was it was I feel much better, and if I offended any of you for being a little bit too emotional, apologies. But on this one, I'm just I've lost so many people and so many friends, and just thousands and thousands walking around maimed with prosthetic legs and arms, and this is reality that I try to bring to you. It's real, guys, and just to hear this stuff,
It's a terrible
it's
thing.
tough.
Let's just agree it's a terrible thing. We want to see more. And thank you if you're still here
Yes.
for being the kind of person that cares enough to be watching this whole thing so that you can be informed.